Now, I am not here to start talking about how we are about to be oppressed, which in some countries people are being oppressed, but I'm not going to talk about the specifics of that. I'll be talking about what Orwell predicted very, very correctly. If you have read the novel 1984 by George Orwell, you will know that in the dystopia of 1984, there's this thing called the telescreen, right? Now, the telescreen is this big TV that is essentially in every room, in every corridor, in every place imaginable, with a microphone, a speaker, and a TV screen. And it cannot be turned off, it cannot be removed, and if you try, you will literally die. You will be executed in a corridor, somebody will shoot a bullet in your back, right? And I think that that is exactly what we have built for ourselves today. Obviously, you won't get shot if you turn off your phone, right? But what we have created is basically an ecosystem, a life where we are surrounded by screens, constant surveillance. For example, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to learn how to hack. How to hack computers, how to hack passwords, how to break into accounts. Obviously, I never did learn it, and I wouldn't ever, do that kind of stuff now. But at some point, I wanted to learn that, and the reason I didn't learn that is because I knew if I went on Google and started just searching, how do I hack, right, stuff like that, somebody would see that, right? Because there's this myth or whatever. Basically, everything you search in Google, somebody knows about it. So, the FBI, they know what people search. Like the Homeland Security is perhaps the most intrusive kind of organization in the world. They know everything about anyone as long as they use technology. You can be tracked precisely just by your phone. I mean, your phone picks up your voice, right? I mean, I can say, "Hey Google," let's see, does my phone light up? Literally, okay, it's not doing any voice, but literally, said, "Hey Google," my phone lit up. Guess what? It is constantly recording. And there have been plenty of lawsuits about this, plenty of people concerned over this, but that's not what I'm talking about here today. Now, whenever I was reading 1984, I was like, oh, thank God I don't have a telescreen in my room. And then I looked to my right and I saw my monitor of my computer. And I was like, God damn, I have a telescreen in my room. Right? I looked at my phone. I mean, a phone is literally a telescreen. It has a camera, it has a speaker, and it has a microphone, and it has a screen. You turn on your phone and you go on friggin' Instagram or the news, and you're immediately bombarded by opinions, by messaging. Right? Now, I'm not saying the technology is bad. I mean, I sit at my computer 24/7. Like, I love my computer. But I think that people need to be aware of the fact that the technology that is all around us is basically the telescreens from 1984. I'm not going to start explaining every nitty bitty detail of how this can go wrong, because this is kind of about Orwell's book, not about cybersecurity, right? I'm not a cybersecurity expert. I know the basics. You want to go to a shady website, open a virtual machine, dark web, use Tor, stuff like that. But that's very basic stuff. What I'm trying to say is that Orwell predicted this very well, and if a, let's say, political change were to happen, the governments, the companies would have total surveillance over people. And I know this is not a new topic. Obviously, other people have, talked about this. There are plenty of conspiracy theorists like, oh, they're watching us. The pigeons, they're robots and stuff like that. And I just kind of wanted to point the fact that our lives are very, very monitored, right? And Orwell predicted this clearly. Now, why am I making this video? Why am I even talking about this? What would I want to change? Now, the thing I would want to change is that people simply start kind of realizing this kind of stuff, right? They realize how surveilled they are, how every move they make online is monitored. How if you search on Google cute cats, some guy in some lab somewhere If they wanted to, they could access that information. And if they wanted to, they could contact Google, shut down your account, get all of your history, everything you've ever done on that account, and boom, and you're exposed, right? And, obviously, this doesn't happen every day, right? It doesn't happen to the regular Joe, old schmo. But, I mean, come on, right? I mean, where's the line? What would happen if, for example, right now there was a massive government change. There was the Democratic Party, now it's the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is led by Trump. Now, I'm not going to start talking about politics, right? Because that's a very sensitive subject. All I'm going to say about Trump is that I have mixed feelings about him. It's not bad, not good, mixed. But essentially, what Trump showed is that a change in power, a change of presidency, can affect a huge change in the way that a country runs, in foreign relations and in its internal policy. I mean, the guy was tweeting in Twitter about running for a third, not semester, fucking term. Imagine like a single president has the ability to start questioning the goddamn constitution of that goddamn country and start changing rules. I mean, what will it take for him to become a dictator? Okay, he becomes a dictator, or another president becomes a dictator. Guess what? Now he has full control over your data. I mean, can you imagine that? That's just something I want to point out, and that's why I think that internet security and privacy in general should be taken much more seriously, right? I mean, the first step to really kind of protecting yourself from this is to just start researching cybersecurity. Don't use Windows, use Linux. Now, obviously, I'm guilty of using Windows and stuff like that, but I just think that Linux is obviously a much better operating system than Windows. I have Linux on my other laptop. But this video is about Orwell, and I've been starting to talk about, other stuff. But in the book, basically, the telescreens, they indoctrinated people. They never shut down, they never turned off. And I don't know if this is by design, if somebody, if some evil villain in his lair was sitting and devised, YouTube Shorts and TikTok, but we have essentially created little devices that fit in our pockets. They follow us everywhere. That have a camera, a microphone, a screen, and a speaker. And we turn them on constantly. I mean, I go outside, okay? I'm not that bad, okay? I do go outside. And imagine what I see. Every time I go outside, I see just people, they just staring at their phones, scrolling on Instagram. I mean, what do you think happens to a human brain when it is constantly exposed to information like that? Some dude, constant like video after video telling people what to think. I mean, I do sound kind of crazy when I'm talking about this, but I just think that people have lost the ability to think for themselves. People have lost the sense of, not the sense, but they have stopped caring so much about cybersecurity. I mean, I see how, people, go about it. I'm not saying that I'm a cybersecurity expert. I'm not saying that I'm doing everything perfectly. I have my flaws, right? I'm not judging anybody. But what I'm saying is that I think all these companies like Google, they say, oh, it's fine. You just make an account, put your personal details and everything like that, and you'll be fine, and we'll give you a high five and everything. It's like, no, like, you shouldn't be giving Google, like, it shouldn't be a thing that we have to give Google so much information, so much data, and all these sites collecting cookies. Okay, I am starting to rant here, and I'm sounding crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna upload this, to be honest, man. This is starting to become a little too nutty. But yeah, right. I mean, we have literally created telescreens, right? And obviously, these telescreens that we have allow us to connect with each other, and they are a source of, I can make my own video and show it to people. But I think it wouldn't be difficult for that to change. And I think that is changing right now. Not right now, but many media platforms are being really censored, right? You can't swear, you can't say, you can't swear at a black person, all this DEI stuff. And in this way of censorship, they are essentially controlling what's being put on these platforms. So even if I do make a video on one of these platforms, YouTube is a bit more chilled though. They can take it down. And because this is a private company, they can do whatever they want. And essentially, Instagram and TikTok has the power to censor information. They have the power to promote specific types of information, promote specific political ideas, and basically brainwash a whole legion of humans, right? Uh, I sincerely think that companies have too much power, and that these devices could be very easily used against us. And by us, I mean the general population of humans. Actually, most humans, just in general. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on Orwell warning us about telescreens and us kind of simply just because you know these things don't have Big Brother built into them doesn't mean they can't have Big Brother built into them. It's like, oh goddamn. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the Shizo video. I tried to be articulate, logical. I just kind of wanted to get that out there. Is that we have telescreens everywhere, and as a person, I already said this, but as a person who sits chronically online, it's something you start to think about, right? And I think that I personally, as a person who sits online a lot, third time I've said that, I have stopped. First of all, I don't have Instagram, right? I don't use TikTok, and I don't, how do I put this, use my computer in a way that would be, um I would say, Orwellian, right? I mean, I make videos, I watch movies, but that's about it, right? I play some games, um, stuff like that. But like, yeah. So if you enjoyed this, this was a late night talk with Isis Games. Leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, if you thought it was horrendous, then dislike it. And if you hate my channel, then move on or unsubscribe if you're subscribed. If you like my channel, don't unsubscribe. It's a very bad thing. But yeah, hope you like the irony. Hope you like my new style of videos. I really try and change it up every once in a while. Make it better, make it more unique, make it more enjoyable, right? But essentially, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Whoever's made it till the end, because I look at my analytics, my average view duration is like 1 minute. So if you made it to the end, man, huge, huge thanks, huge thanks. I love you guys, and goodbye. See you next time.